Thank you guys very much for coming today. Can everyone hear me okay? I want to make sure this mic's on. I don't use technology very much when I'm speaking like this. So I really want to thank you guys. This is a big deal for me. This is something I've been working on for my whole life, my whole adult life. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my life. It's going to get a little bit personal, but I am really excited to be here. I hope something I say resonates with you and helps you change your life, because financial stress and financial anxiety is one of the biggest causes of unhappiness in this world. And if you can fix your finances, and things change in your life immediately. And so they told me, they go, Curtis, you have about 45 minutes to talk. And usually I can sit down with somebody and speak for 3 hours. I was with Jason, and all of a sudden 2.5 hours goes by. And he's like, you only got 45 minutes. I'm like, oh, what am I going to say in 45 minutes? I don't know what to say. You know, that's too short of a time. I have so much to say, and it's so awesome to express what I've learned and everything that I'm going to do my best, and I hope something I say really, really resonates with you. So I'm going to tell you a few stories about myself, about my life, and how I got to where I was, because I'm not formally trained in finances. That's the funny thing. A lot of people look at me and like, oh, did you graduate in finances? Actually, no, I didn't. But I'm a thinker, and I researched it, and I really cared about it, and it really, really was important to me. And so I learned the things that I need to learn. So I'm going to go a little bit with my family first. Who is Curtis Ray? Married with 5 kids. I'm here local from Gilbert, Arizona. Owner of a company called SunCor Financial. I'm the inventor of a system called MPI, or 3Y MPI. It's maximum premium indexing. And I'm going to go over a little bit. When I refer to my system, that's MPI. When I refer to the different parts of the system, just know it's referring to MPI. Business owner, I have 5 different businesses, revenues over $50 million. So I'm going to tell you guys a story how I make a lot of money and I lost a lot of money. And a lot of us know what that feels like, because there are so many things that go wrong in finances if you're not understanding the rules of the game. Retirement specialist, all I care about is how much spendable income somebody gets in retirement. You know, a lot of you may be in retirement now or in the near future being in retirement, and your retirement is based in spendable income, not equity, not any other things that people try to trick you into, but it's spendable income is what really matters in retirement. And ultimately, I wrote a book. Somebody said, hey, Curtis, you have all this information, you should write a book. And I'm like, I don't know. I got a 36 on my ACTs in math and a 16 in English. I don't know if I can write a book. But I got down and I started writing, and my wife got a little bit annoyed of it for a while, because it was 3 months of 10 hours a day. And I just kept rewriting it and rewriting it and rewriting it. And finally, it's like, hey, it's good. Good's better than perfect. So I got to get it out there. But this book, I tell people, it's like, I want you to read my book. I make like $1.17 on the book. So it's not to make money. But there is so much information in this book, and it is informational. It's not sales-like. It is about how financial world was built, how all the pitfalls in it make sure that everyone ends up poor. It literally is designed so everyone ends up poor, and we see it all around us. There's 99% of people who struggle, and there's the 1% of people who have a lot of money. And it's actually designed that way. And so I kind of break down the whole thing from the beginning and how it's built and how it goes on. So I would really like for you guys to read the book, understand how it works, and if you know anyone else who wants to understand about finances, introduce that to them. So, and this is why everyone ends up poor. There are so many things inside the financial sector that people don't realize why you end up poor. And that was a pretty bold statement. Everyone ends up poor. When I was designing the title, people were suggesting, oh, you should say like how to improve your finances, or make financial planning better, or make more money in your finance. I'm like, no, that won't catch anybody's attention. Guess what? Everyone ends up poor. No matter who you are, you end up poor. And when I say poor, I mean low fixed income. It's always designed in low fixed income. You retire on $30,000 a year, $40,000 a year. Are you dying in the streets? No. But it's low fixed income. You don't get to do what you want, when you want, with whom you want. And that is part of happiness. The pursuit of happiness is doing what you want, when you want, with whom you want. And the reason why we all end up poor is there's no education based. How many people understand how money works? Anyone know how money works? Very few people. I talked to hundreds of people, and everyone says no to that question. I've yet to have somebody say, yeah, I really understand how money works. Limits in, restrictions out on most plans, fees, penalties, taxes, risk. You guys all know about risk. If anybody's been watching the stock market in the last 3 weeks, it has been insane. It is up 800 points, down 500, up 300, down 700. It is a bloodbath out there right there. Nobody knows why. It's just become the norm. There was an article we're reading today that says, inconsistency is the norm, or ups and downs are the norm, or something like that. Then very few people understand this rule called the 4% rule. The 4% rule is really the reason why everyone ends up poor. No matter how much money you have in a nest egg, they suggest you only take out 4%. So you could have $1 million in your account, and you're supposed to retire off of $40,000 a year. And you know how many people end up with $1 million in their account? 1% or less. And you still end up with $40,000 a year or less. The average person retires off $175,000 in their nest egg. So they're getting $6,000, $7,000, give or take, out of their nest egg, plus Social Security. But is Social Security going to be around forever? You know, it already went in the red this year, and it's going to be an extreme red. 40% of people live on Social Security alone. Social Security alone, 40% of people over 65, their only source of income is Social Security, which is $25,000, $27,000, somewhere around that range. And then the big one that I talk about in my book. In my book, I have a whole chapter called Never Trust Your Business. Because so many of us fall inside this trap in believing our business is our financial plan. And we make money and we reinvest it back in. We make more money, we reinvest it back in. We make more money and then Toys R Us happens. Blockbuster happens. Kodak happens. We lose everything. And we worked for 20 or 30 years to build a business to ultimately go out of business because of technology and innovation and all the different rules of money and Amazon and robots and AI and all the different things that are going to come in this world. 95% of small businesses go out of business. And that is one huge reason why everyone ends up poor. But the question I have for people, and in my book I talk about this, I say, do you want to be financially secure? And everyone tells me yes to that question. They say, yes, I do. And I go, no. But do you really want to be financially secure? They go, yes, I'm ready right now. Well, do you know how to? Answer is typically no, because there's been no education provided to these people. And that's my passion. My passion is saying, here is how the game is played. How do you possibly play a game that you don't know the rules to? And 99% of people don't know the rules of how money works. And so you get the 1% of people who make all the rules because they exactly understand how it's played. But the 99% of people just work hard. They do their job. They're going through the motions in all life, and all of a sudden they realize that the next 25 years of their life, from 65 to 90 or whenever you're going to pass away, is in stress, anxiety, and never understood the rules of money. And the rules of money are really, really simple. That's the crazy part. The rules of money are super, super simple. I talk to people all the time, hey, you should learn about money. Oh, it's too complicated. Oh, I'm not good at math. I don't really want to know. And I'm like, you literally just told yourself and your future self, I'm going to be poor forever. I'm never going to understand how it works, so I'm just satisfied with being poor. And if you guys read this quote right here, I love this quote. It's out of a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. If anybody's ever read the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, it says, if you have not acquired more than a bare existence since your youth, it is because you either have failed to learn the laws that govern wealth or else you do not observe them. There are actual laws. They're called the rules of money. And if you observe them, 100% of the time you will end up financially secure. They're simple. They're rules, but nobody's ever told anybody the rules. And so when I started my whole path of discovery, it was quite unique. So I have a granite countertop business. And this granite countertop business, I started in 2004. And if anybody was in remodeling in 2004, those were good times. I was 23 years old. I'd never had a job in my whole life. I was a 3-sport athlete. I wrestled at Arizona State University, and that was my life. And then one day somebody goes, hey, we should start a granite company. I'm like, awesome, yes, let's make a ton of money. What's granite? I'd never met somebody who had granite in 2004. My parents didn't have granite, never met somebody who had granite. But I wanted to make a lot of money because I just had that always, oh yeah, let's make a bunch of money. So I started a granite business, and very, very, very quickly we made a lot of money. And we made a lot of money. And very, very quickly I lost a lot of money. Because when you're 23 and don't know any of the rules of money, people start asking to borrow it. People want you to invest in their business that you know nothing about. People do this, people do that, and all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, I just lost a lot of money. I guess I need to make more money. And that was always the mentality in my brain, make more money. You can always make more money. But it has nothing to do with how much money you make. It has to do with how much you keep. If you're making a bunch of money, it doesn't matter. If you're not doing the right principles with that money, you will inevitably end up with no money. Because the rules of money are simple, but they're defined and they're universal. And if you're willing to live by them, you will end up financially secure. Albert Einstein, I love quoting him, man. He's got some really, really, really cool quotes. And this is my favorite of all of them. But it's misquoted, not misquoted, it's not finished. Most people have said this, and maybe you've heard this, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. And people stop it right there. They forgot the important part. and the really, really exciting part, and that is compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. That is all it takes. That is the secret. That is the secret to wealth. Understanding how compound interest works. The moment you understand how compound interest works, you will do everything in your power to put every single dollar possible into something that's compounding. Has anybody ever heard that before? You should put every single dollar humanly possible into compound interest because it is the eighth one of the world. So are you an earner or payer? That's something you got to ask yourself. Have you been earning compound interest in your lifetime, or have you been paying compound interest in your lifetime? And so while I was in my business and I was growing my business and we were making a lot of money and life was great, I was never putting any money into compound interest. I was just making more money, reinvesting it, making more money, reinvesting it, making more money, reinvesting it. And after 10 years, I had made millions of dollars. And then Armageddon happened. I had my Kodak moment. I had my Blockbuster moment. A dispute with a partner that went south really, really, really quickly. And all of a sudden, I found myself on November 1st of 2014 with $11,000 in my bank account. And I had no business. And so I thought to myself, that was a surreal moment. I laid in bed on October 31st of 2014, Halloween night. I remember very clearly, I was laying in bed thinking, and I didn't sleep almost the whole night. I said, what did I do wrong? I have a good product. I provide a good service, fair market value. I treat my employees right, and I still failed. Because inevitably, small businesses are designed that way. And so I tell people with small business, I go, you are only in business for one reason, to fund your future. Everything we do, every financial decision we ever make in our whole life should be for one focus, and that is to fund your future self. We work hard so that we can have that life we've always wanted. And it may be still working. It may be starting a nonprofit. It may be traveling the world. It may be spending a lot of time with the grandkids. But we do everything in our power. We work, we start small business, or maybe you're just working for $15 an hour, or you're making 50 grand a year, or whatever. That should have a focus with funding your future. And that is where everyone goes wrong. Everyone goes wrong. They're payers, not earners. Even you get all the systems out there that are about pay off your debt, do this, you never want to go into debt. I'm like, that's a mindset of a payer. Oh, I got to pay off my debt, I got to pay off my debt. They forgot the most important part, and that is the growth. Compound interest. Albert Einstein did not say, pay off your debt is the greatest mathematical discovery of all time or the eighth wonder of the world. He said compound interest is. And the moment you understand compound interest, you will literally, your life has changed. Every decision you make from that point on is, how is my money growing? Is it growing or not growing? Am I spending or am I earning? And there are systems, especially MPI, where you can grow, you can earn compound interest even on money you're spending. That's how rich people do it. They borrow money from over here because they know they can make more money over here. They use the system to their advantage. But nobody's ever told the normal person, the 99% of people, how to take advantage of the simple things on how you gain compound interest in every single aspect of your money life. But here's the first rule. And this is where everyone does it backwards. We teach it backwards. Our society teaches it backwards. It's you make a paycheck, you pay your bills, you pay your debt, and whatever's left over is what you try to save. And how many times have you tried to do that and what's left over is $0? Almost always. Because we live exactly to the means of what we're making. So the first rule, and what I tell everyone, I go, if you want to change your life right now, the answer is pay yourself first. Start today. I'm not talking tomorrow, because tomorrow will never come ever. Tomorrow's not ever going to come. And so back to my business. So I had this business, and I woke up on November 1st of 2014. I finally got to bed, and I woke up, I go, what did I do wrong? And it's that I came to the conclusion I never understood the rules of money. And at that moment in time, I decided that I was going to learn everything possible, 100% of everything I could possibly learn about money, about stocks, about trading, about 401k, IRA, Roth IRA, everything. And I was going to determine where was I going to put my money. And here's the crazy thing. I studied this for 6 months. 401k, IRA, Roth IRA, a thing called variable universal life, indexed universal life, whole life, all of them. And I laid them out side by side. Like I said, I'm pretty good at math, so I laid them out side by side and I said, if I would have started, what would it look like? If I would have started in 1985, what would it look like in 2014? To the penny. Which one's actually best? Because do any of you know which one's the best of between a 401k IRA, Roth IRA, whole life, VUL, IUL? Anybody know? The answer is no, because nobody knows. And so I decided I was going to break it down mathematically. Which one's actually the right one? Which is the one that actually is where I should put my money? Because I have a family, I'm married with 5 kids, where should I put my money? And that's where I determined that everyone ends up poor. The traditional system is broken. It was never designed to produce you income that you need in retirement because of a thing called risk. If any of you know anything about the traditional 401k and IRA, they have this theory, and it's called the risk pyramid. And this theory of the risk pyramid tells us that you should be aggressive when you're younger, you should taper off when you're middle age, and then you should completely taper off when you're older. So you're maybe getting 10% compound interest when you're younger, and then 6% when you're in your 40s and 50s, and then 3 to 4% in your 60s all the way to the day you die. But what people don't realize is that completely spits in the face of compound interest. You need your compounding when it's the biggest. If you compound 100% on $10, it's only $10. You compound 10% on $100,000, it's $10,000. So compound interest only works later on. You need it to be there growing at the maximum extent later on. And so I always say it's all done backwards. My book is called Everyone Ends Up Poor, Why Financial Planning's All Backwards and How to Fix It. You've got to reverse that scenario. You've got, I call it, it's the sprint, run, jog, walk theory. That's what I call it. You're sprinting when you're younger. If anybody knows about track and field, there's a race. It's the mile. It's 4 laps around. It's 4 laps around the track. And those 4 laps, think how terrible of a race plan it is to sprint the first lap, run the second lap, jog the third lap, and walk the 4th lap. Anybody knows anything about racing, that is absolutely the most terrible plan you could possibly have. And that's how the financial system's designed. It's all about income. Income is king. And the only way you get income is by making sure your compound interest is growing to the maximum extent, even in your later years. And they say, but Curtis, that's impossible because of risk. You cannot take risk in your later years because if you have a 2008 plummet again, you lose all your money. And so I said there has to be a way around that because I was not satisfied when I was researching this that I'm going to end up poor. I'm going to end up with $1 million in my account and I'm going to have $40,000 of income. Or I have $2 million in my account, I get $80,000 in income. Heck, I have $3 million in account, I get $120,000. Still poor. Is $120,000 poor? No. But if you were able to save $3 million, you were not living on a $120,000 budget. If you were able to save $2 million, you were not living on an $80,000 budget, so on and so forth. So no matter how much money you get in a 401k or an IRA or a Roth IRA, you end up poor according to your situation. And so there has to be a way around that. As I started researching, I discovered that there was one way around that and only one way around that. And that is to make security your cornerstone. Bypass the risk pyramid. Bypass this whole theory that you sprint, run, jog, walk. And you walk at the end because you need something secure. You've got to have a way to bypass that. Warren Buffett loves to talk about it. It's called rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. There's got to be a way, a system designed where you never lose money. But that's impossible, right? Everyone tells you can't get reward and risk and reward, they kind of just flow together. You want a lot of reward, you have to take on a lot of risk. If you don't want reward, you can have a lot of security but no reward. And so I tell people, I started researching, I go, why is there no plan out there that has security built in as part of the thing, as part of the system, that also gives you reward? And everyone told me it was impossible, but I go, no, there has to be a way. Well, then they go, it's whole life. Whole life is secure, except for whole life doesn't produce compound interest. It's like 3 or 4%. That's not enough to grow. It's as bad as the 401k. We got to have something that makes us 8%, 9%, somewhere in that range. And there's one plan that does it. I talk about it a lot in my book, so I only got 20 more minutes here, so I don't want to go too long on that. But there's one way to do it, and it's called a max-funded IUL. Something you guys can research, and I tell people, it's like, don't confuse it with a traditional IUL, because a traditional IUL, indexed universal life, unfortunately has a lot of problems to it. A lot of subjectivity to it. The agents can do a lot of funny stuff with it. But a max-funded IUL is an exclusive plan for the uber rich. And it was designed to avoid estate tax and capital gains tax. So how many people that are making 50 grand a year, 100 grand a year need to avoid estate tax and all the different taxes out there, the capital gains tax? Very few people even think about that. But inside this one plan, there is a feature, and it's called the 0% floor. And the 0% floor is that you can never lose principal value. Whatever your principal value is, it will 100% maintain contractual guarantee. So if you have $10,000 in your account and the stock market plummets 50%, at the end of that year, it's 100% contractually guaranteed you'll have $10,000 in your account. Next year, and it resets every year. So say you gain some interest, you put some more money in it, now you have $15,000 at year 2. Now you are contractually guaranteed to have $15,000 no matter what the stock market does. So Warren Buffett here says never lose money, and don't forget rule number 1. So how do you do that? By making security your cornerstone. Everyone is so fixated on the growth. I'm so fixated on how do I get the most amount of compound interest. But it does nothing for you if you're in a system that can lose 40% overnight. If you had $500,000 in your account in 2008, you left 2008 with about $250,000. You lost $250,000 that fast. That can't work that way. And a lot of people don't realize with compound interest, the negative compound interest is almost the double effect of a positive compound interest. The negative 40 took a positive 78 or positive 80 to break even. So if you lost 40%, if you had, let's just say, $100,000 in your account and it lost 50%, you now have 50. If you gain 50%, you only have 75. You haven't broken even yet. It takes a positive 100 to break even. And that's why the security is the cornerstone. Why the 401k and IRA are bound by this thing called the 4% rule is because when you're older, like I said, when you're younger, you're getting a lot of rates of return. You can't take the risk of having a negative 50 in your retirement years. You can't have $500,000 and then get dropped down to 250. You'll never recover. If you're taking money out of that, you'll never recover. And so they sprint, run, jog, walk. But what if you could reverse the scenario? What if you could walk, jog, run, sprint? So in your later years is when you're gaining the 10 to 12% interest. So when you get $100,000, $500,000 in your account, let's call it, and now you're making 10% interest on your money, it's making you $50,000 a year every single year. And if you have the security already built in, that $500,000 is guaranteed to never go below $500,000. So when I saw this in my book, I have a chapter called The 0% Floor, the ultimate feature. The ultimate feature because you can never lose principal value. If you never lose principal value and you can maintain aggressive rates of return, it doubles or triples your retirement income off the exact same dollar. The exact same dollar will produce 2 to 3 times more income because your replenish, how much your compound interest is growing for you, is 2 to 3 times more in your later years than your younger years. So a 401k is getting 10% in their younger years, then 6% in their middle years, and 4% in their later years. And now you can only live off 4%. It's called the 4% rule. I would love for you guys to write that down and Google 4% rule. You're going to read a bunch on it, that it is the standard. It is the standard that you only take out 4%. But what if you're getting 4% in your early years, and then 6% in your middle years, and 10% in your later years? Now what is your income? 10%. Because you're replenishing 10%. You can take out 10%, it replenishes 10%. You take out 10%, it replenishes 10%. And that is how income is created, by compound interest. You always have to focus on compound interest. So any system that is designed to hurt your compound interest growth or lower your compound interest growth, it's wrong. It's backwards. It will never, ever, ever produce you the income you need. Then you get the other people who are like, well, real estate, I'm going to put all my money into real estate. There's a problem with real estate. You can have a house that's worth $400,000, completely paid off. What kind of income does it produce you? $1,300 in rental? That's all it produced. $400,000 of equity trapped in this house, and all it really produced you on a compounding scale, on a compound mentality of what's it replenishing every single month, $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 a month in rentals? It's all backwards. Nobody's ever put focus on income maximization. And so for that, on November 1st of 2014, I decided I was going to really research and understand how income maximization happens. How you secure your money, how you compound that money, and produce the most amount of spendable income. So I tell people, who would rather have $40,000 of spendable income or $100,000 of spendable income? Pretty simple question, right? Pretty simple question. The way the current system is designed can never produce what you need it to do because of this one reason. It is built in risk. And then when you finally get to where you have a lot of money in your account, when you finally get to the point where you want it compounding, they turn it off. They lower you down into bonds instead of stocks. You're getting 3 to 4% on average, and now your income is 3 to 4. And I know I'm going to beat this dead horse, but everyone ends up poor unless you understand that one theory. Two theories, compound interest and securing your money. If anybody of you have read that book, Richest Man in Babylon, it's actually rule number 1 is pay yourself first. You got to get your money compounding. And then rule number 2 is control your expenses because you're only living on 90% now. If you're paying yourself 10%, you're only living off of 90. Rule number 3 is compound it. Rule number 4 is secure it. And those 4 rules, pay yourself first, live on a new budget now, compound your money, and secure your money. That is how wealth happens. I get asked all the time, but Curtis, how do I pay myself first? I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I can't do it. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. How am I going to pay myself first? And I go, it is a phenomenon that you can be making $50,000 a year, $30,000 a year, $100,000 a year, and you're living paycheck to paycheck. You're barely getting by. Then a recession happens. And now your pay automatically got cut to $45,000, let's just say. And you go home and you talk to the wife or the husband and you say, I just got, our salary is now $45,000. What are we going to do? We're not going to make it. We're already paycheck to paycheck. And a miracle happens every time. You survive. Within 1 month, you don't even realize, you don't even recognize the difference. Every single time, 100% of every single time, you live within your means. Whatever you're making, that's what you're going to spend. And it's always paycheck to paycheck. And even more fascinating is this. You're making $50,000 a year, and your boss comes to you and gives you a raise. $55,000. Now you're making $55,000. And what happens within 1 month? You don't even notice anything. You are living paycheck to paycheck. So I tell people, anyone can pay themselves first. If you are willing in this exact moment, no matter your age, and start paying yourself first, your life will be changed forever. Because now your mindset is earner, not payer. And pay yourself first is not saving. I want to be very, very, very clear on that. So many people think saving, when you hear the word saving, you think, I need to sacrifice, I need to cut back, I need to do something different in my life. Oh, it's so hard. It comes with this negative connotation that saving is a bad thing. I have to give up something. The moment your mind evolves to pay yourself first, think about that. Pay yourself first. Who is the person that should immediately benefit from your hard work? You. We pay the mortgage, we pay the gas, we pay the insurance, we pay this, and we forgot about ourselves. The ultimate way to thank yourself is to pay yourself first. And it means, and I'm talking dollar bills, not invest in yourself, I'm going back to college, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It is actual dollar bills. I make $50,000 a year, $5,000, I'm paying myself first. But I live paycheck to paycheck. No, you don't. Yes, you do, exactly. But now your paycheck's $45,000, and you will survive. But the moment that you now understand compound interest and paying yourself first, that $5,000 is working for you. It is working for you. People don't realize that compound interest is actual money Doubling on itself in a good compound account, your money will double every 6 to 8 years by itself. You did absolutely nothing. You could have $50,000 in an account after 10 years or something, and it will go, even if you never put another dollar in it again, it will go from 50 to 100 by itself in 6 to 8 years. 100 to 200 in 6 to 8 years. 200 to 400, 400 to 800, 800 to 1.6 million. All by itself. All you put in was 50,000. Let time work its magic. Some of you in here are a little bit older than 40 years old, so time is a different situation here. So there are other ways that we have to get a little bit more aggressive when it comes to financial planning when you're a little bit older than 40. But on everyone who's in that sub 50 range, time is everything. Time is magic because compound interest is money growing for you by itself. That money goes and gets employees for you. And those employees work for free. And they're the best type of employee. They work for free. They're always happy. They'll always be there for you. And then those employees go hire employees. And then those employees hire more employees. And within 20 years, you have 100 different employees working for you simultaneously. That is your money. That is why Albert Einstein called it the greatest mathematical discovery of all time. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. 1% of people earn it. The 1%ers are the reason why they earn it. Because they understand this one concept. This is the only concept that literally takes a 1% from the 99% of people. 1%ers understand compound interest, how to compound your money, how to compound your situation, how to leverage, how to do everything. 99 just live, paycheck to paycheck. I work with so many people who there is despair in their eyes. There's anxiety and stress in their eyes. What do? I can't get out of this hole. And I say, if you want to get out of the hole, leave the hole. But I have debt. Forget about it. Pay your minimums, do your thing. We're going to pay it off eventually. The system itself will pay it off. But you got to change your mindset. You got to become an earner today, not a payer. And that's how wealth is accumulated, is understanding how it goes. The MPI system is one other thing that has, inside this max-funded IU I was talking about, it has a feature called the leverage feature. Anybody in this room know what the word leverage means in finances? It's the ability to use someone else's money to gain you interest. Someone else's money to gain you interest. But the problem with leverage is it's tremendously risky. You're borrowing money to then reinvest it somewhere else. But where do we reinvest it? Because if 2008, anybody who was in real estate in 2008 understands what this means. You buy a house, you pull a line of credit on it. You buy a second house, you pull a line of credit on that house. You buy a third house, you pull a line of credit on that house. You end up with 5 or 10 houses, all of them completely leveraged, but none of them had security in them. So when the market tanked 50 to 60%, what happened? All those houses' equities dropped. You still owed the loan, you're still paying interest on the loan, and the whole thing blew up. But what if you could leverage without the risk? What if you could leverage, use someone else's money to gain you additional interest, additional compound interest, without the risk of traditional leverage? How often should we leverage? If you could leverage and gain additional interest, how often should you leverage? My answer is every day. Every day humanly possible. And it only works because security was the cornerstone. It was the cornerstone inside a financial plan. Not go get the rewards. It was, no, we need to make sure we're guaranteed that we're never going to go below this mark. And now we're going to go figure out how to get rewards. And it's the power of leverage plus innovation. So in my story, I had $11,000 and I was freaking out. And I'm like, oh, but most of you are probably entrepreneurs. It's kind of, you love the game. I woke up that morning and said, oh crap, I lost $1 million today. What am I going to do now? Start over. It's a game. It's all part of the system. Once you know the rules, you can play the game. And so for the next 4 years, I built this platform called MPI. And I ended up taking it to the company called Mutual of Omaha. If anybody's ever heard of Mutual of Omaha, 95 straight years, A+ rated, $50 billion in assets. I mean, they are cream of the crop. Everyone loves Mutual of Omaha. And I showed them my system, and I said, I've developed a system off of your platform. It was their platform. I didn't make the platform. I said, I developed an algorithm or a system that shows that with your platform, my clients or the world in general can use their own money, leverage it securely, and double their interest off of it. And guess what they said to me? You're full of crap. That's impossible. You cannot have reward without risk. I go, no, there's one way of doing it, and only one way. So they end up having their actuaries, and actuaries are a really smart nerd that can break down numbers, count cards, all that other stuff. They go, no, that's impossible, Curtis. There's no way. Who are you? I don't know, some guy from Gilbert, Arizona. Have a granite countertop business. I'm a granite guy. And they're like, well, any formal training at all? Nope, I didn't even go to school. I don't, once I broke my ankle wrestling, I dropped out of school. I was a businessman. I was an entrepreneur. And they're like, oh, well, this is interesting. We'll at least give it a shot. They come back to me 3 months later and say, holy crap, it works. It does work. And they said, do you know what this means? I go, I know exactly what it means. It literally means that if you, Curtis, talking to me because we started forming a partnership, if you can tell this story to the world, financial stress is gone. Every person in this room has ever felt financial stress. It can leave you because you're an earner, not a payer. You understand how it all works. You're secured, and then you can make additional interest off of their money. It all works. And then at the end of the day, in 20, 25 years from now, that's the best decision I ever made. I learned about compound interest. I learned about security built into that compound interest. And then I learned my favorite hashtag, compounding the compound. So I have this hashtag, compounding the compound. And Albert Einstein said, compound interest is the greatest mathematical discovery of all time. What if you could take that greatest mathematical discovery of all time and put it on steroids? That's the opportunity we have. The rules have changed. The rules have evolved. Evolution has evolved. Evolution is always, evolving the systems and evolving things to get better. I love when people say it sounds too good to be true, Curtis. And I'm like, why? All I'm saying is slow and steady wins the race. Do everything to exactness. Put security in first. I don't need Bitcoin to make me a gajillion % in one day and then lose me double that the next day. I'm just saying slow and steady, 8%. It's what we need. Get the 8% with no risk of losing principal value. And then we're going to use our money to compound the compound. And through that one theory, poverty could cease to exist. I tell people, if you want to learn, if you want to leave your life of financial stress and anxiety, learn compound interest and security. You merge those two things together, and your life is changed forever. Compounding the compound is the secret. Secure leverage provides future wealth for every single person. Inside of compounding the compound, or inside understanding compound interest with security and then how the whole system is created, it allows for anyone to retire in 20 to 25 years from today with more income than they're making while they're working. You could be making $30,000 a year, and when you retire, you'll have $45,000 of spendable income. You are now rich, because rich is relative. If you were making 30 and you live off 30, and then while you were working, and then you retire, now you're making 45, you're now rich. If you're making 50 and you retire, now you have 60 or 75, now you're rich. 100, 150, same thing, no matter what it is. If you understand the rules of the game and you understand compound interest, you now are rich. You are an earner in mind, in heart, and now you're on a path to happiness. Money does not buy happiness, freedom does. Freedom is the key to happiness. Free from debt, free from anxiety, free from stress, free from addiction, free from all the different things that bring us down, make us less human beings. And unfortunately, I talk to so many people, financial stress and financial problems is one of the biggest impediments to happiness. Always worrying about debt, always worrying about my mortgage, always worrying about rent, always worrying about how am I going to pay this, how am I going to pay that. You don't have to worry about that anymore. It can leave you if you become an earner, if you now understand the rules of the game. Anyone in the 99, if anybody in here belongs in the 99, if you're already making millions of dollars, awesome, the system makes you more millions of dollars. But you really don't need my help, you already know how it's all done. But anybody who's in the 99, if you take a small amount of time and understand compound interest, you will do everything in your power to put every single dollar possible into compound interest. Compound interest will make more money for you than any other thing that you've ever done in your whole life. Because that's how it's designed. It's money working on itself for you 24/7. Whether you're sick, vacation, working, all that stuff, that's what it does for you. Everyone deserves to be happy. Everyone has earned the right to be happy. But the world has tricked us in believing that the only way you get money, the only way you get financially free is to start a business, buy 30 houses to rent out, all the stress and anxiety of being a small business owner, and ultimately you still end up poor, and that's just how it is. But the only way to financial security is to be a rock star entrepreneur and work 18 hours a day and be completely stressed out. It's not true. It's a lie we've all been told. So you go to their conventions, you buy their books, you go, oh, I'm selling a book, right? And it's all about how you make money. The 1%ers make money for a reason because they know how to tell the story so that you also want to be a 1%er, but you can be a 1%er without all the anxiety and stress of a small business or a big business or all the other things that go along with it. You deserve the best life. If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work till the day you die. Warren Buffett. If anybody knows who Warren Buffett is, he's a pretty cool dude. He is really smart. And he says if you do not find a way to make money while you're sleeping, i.e. compound interest, that's exactly what he's referring to, you will work till the day you die. Tomorrow will never come. In my book, I say it like 15 times. Everyone says, oh, Curtis, I got this going on. I got these few bills I'm trying to catch up. Oh, Christmas is coming. Oh, this is happening, that's happening. It will never, ever, ever come. Today is the day you make your decision. Today is the day you make your decision you're going to be an earner. And if you make that decision, no matter your age, you can be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70-ish. We start getting a little bit later on. We're going to talk about inheritance planning and other stuff. But it gets me so excited when somebody starts when they're 19. It's like, oh my goodness, do you realize what you just did? 20, 25 years from now, you're going to do whatever you want. Because retiring has nothing to do with not working. People get that misconception like, oh, I can't wait till I don't have to work. People who retire and stop working end up dying within 7 years because they have no purpose in life. But retiring is doing what you want, when you want, with whom you want. That is freedom. Freedom then equates to happiness. And so when I pitch this to people, it's like, no, today is your day. Today, right now, is your day. There are plans that fast track it 10 to 15 years when you're on certain age restrictions and stuff like that. But if you don't learn the rules of money, rules of compound interest, how you apply it to your life today, right now, today is the day to make that decision. You will look back in 1 year and be like, I really wish I would have started last year. And then in 5 years, and then in 10 years, and then in 20 years. And unfortunately, I have a father, and he's 66 years old, and you guys can imagine how much money he has in his account, like everyone else, $0. And it was always, I'll start next year. I got to put money into my business. My business needs my money. I need to pay off this debt. I need to pay off my mortgage. Oh, I want to pay off my mortgage sooner. I want to do this. And they completely neglected the actual rule of money, and that is compound interest and how compound interest works. Today is the day you can become an earner, and I get really excited teaching that. And I know I've said it like 15 times, but it's like, oh, if I could just shout it to every single person, that today is your day you become an earner. Every stress and anxiety you've ever felt about money can leave today by understanding the rules of compound interest. And once you understand the rules of compound interest, you will do everything in your power to put as much money into it as possible. Because when you can gain compound interest, you start making money on even your debt. When you can gain 8% interest, but your debt's 5%, why would you ever pay off your debt? I'm not saying don't pay off debt, because the system's designed to pay off your debt for you, but while still making money off of it. If you pay off a debt, it's dead. But if you're making 8% on your money and then you pay off your debt, your money's still making 3%, because you're paying 5 on it, your money's still making 8 for you. And so it's a really, really cool system on how the moment your mind converts to, I'm an earner, I'm going to do everything in my power to understand compound interest, that is your path to happiness. That is your path to financial freedom. My time is running short. I want to leave 10 minutes for a Q&A. If anybody has any questions, if you wrote down any questions, I would love to answer those questions. I don't know what the questions are going to be, so feel free to ask anything you want if you want, or I can still talk for another 5 minutes, whatever you got. Does anybody have any questions you'd like to ask about compound interest, the 0% floor, the security, any of that stuff? Indexed universal life. And if you type in indexed universal life, you're going to see half the world says it's the greatest thing ever, half the world says it's the worst thing ever. And here's the dirty little secret. They're both right. Because if you design it incorrectly, it's not good. It will blow up. Agents, unfortunately, financial advisors and agents and all the different people who sell IULs, we have the liberty to design it how we want. Okay, oh, this is a done deal. I'm gonna design it this way so I get $15,000 in commission. Or if you design it max funded, you get $1,500 in commission. You design it one way over here, and it's the best product on the planet. It's up front, you pay it off, and now you're compounding and you're just rocking and rolling at that point in time. Or you design it incorrectly, and you end up poor like every other plan.
So how do you figure out how to design it? It sounds like you have to...
It's called max funded. It's objective. There's an IRS code. I didn't want to get too deep into it. My book talks about it a lot. I mean, it's 100 pages of exactly how you design a financial plan to be optimal. There's 9 parts of a financial plan, and it's objective. There's a way to say, here's how you absolutely do the best. Here's how you lower your cost. Here's how you do this, all the different things. And so when designing a financial plan, we design them as max funded 100% of the time, and it's an objective thing, so it's easy to design it that way. So. Any other questions? Did I explain it that well? No.
So how would you just transfer your current IRA to a max funded IUL?
So traditionally, that's a sensitive question because there are deferred tax, there's post-tax, there's, when you're in a qualified plan or you deferred your tax, there are penalties if you touch your money before 59 and a half and then you have to pay tax on it. So if you work at a business and you have a 401k, as long as you're currently employed with that business, you can't touch the money. It is in jail till 59 and a half. You can't touch it before 59 and a half. If you have an IRA or Roth IRA, you're allowed to take that money out, but you may have to pay the tax on it if it was deferred. Roth IRA, you paid the tax on it already. But then there's the little penalty. Like I tell you, the system is just so backwards. They say you can't touch your money till 59 and a half. If you touch your money, you're going to pay us 10% penalty. And so there are mathematical equations. Anybody who designs a max funded IUL, specifically, obviously, SunCor Financial is one of them, that says sometimes it makes sense to pull it out and just pay the 10%. It's all math. So you just run the numbers. Hey, this would have made you X amount of income. If you keep it in, it will make you this much. Okay, it makes sense to pay the 10%. So every single scenario is different. They're customized that way. The education piece is the most important piece. The 9 parts of a financial plan are the most important parts that if you check off each one. The first one is financial education. You've got to know how money works. And one thing is always educate yourself on money. I love this place, Lyceum University. It's all about education. If you want to know a good financial plan, it is educate yourself on how money works. Then you've got to understand how life insurance works. Part of a financial plan is life insurance. But part of life insurance is subjective also. You can design a good life insurance plan or a bad one. And a lot of people don't realize that inside life insurance, everything is tax exempt after you put it in. You don't have capital gains tax, you don't have estate planning tax, you don't even have income tax. And that's why I said, it was used for rich people. Rich people used this plan before, a max funded IUL, because they wanted to find ways around estate tax and income tax and capital gains tax. So you want to have tax-free income, tax-free inheritance. You want the lowest expenses. Max funded means the maximum amount of money is going into your investments, and the least amount is going towards all your costs. So you need the lowest expenses. You need security. You need to have focus on income. You need to have all the different things that are part of a financial plan. That is how you educate yourself. And then, within 20, 25 years from now, you look back and say, holy crap, it produced 4 times more income than the 401k and IRA. And it may even be the exact same dollars. You put in the exact same amount of money, it even grew the same, but because you're replenishing more, because you understood how compound interest works and you want your compound to be as big as possible in your later years, just because we reverse the scenario, with security as the cornerstone, you now have 3 to 4 times more income off the exact same dollar. I had somebody who text one of my employees say, oh, watch, Curtis is just trying to sell a bunch of life insurance. I'm like, I'm actually opposite of that. 100% opposite of that. Life insurance is just a means to the end. It's a means to the end because inside life insurance, if you design it at the max funded limit, meaning the least amount of life insurance they require us to buy, you have the lowest expenses, tax-free income, tax-free from capital gains tax, no estate tax, 0% floor. You have no risk to your money. You have the leverage feature. Now you can leverage it. You get all the education, get all the different things provided in one plan. So let's use that plan because that's what rich people use. So we're all aspiring rich people, right? We're all aspiring 1%ers. So hopefully that answered your question. So I got 3 more minutes.
So the money, you can't withdraw from an IRA and your product doesn't qualify as an IRA?
It's not an IRA. It's a bank account. And so your money is 100% yours. And so when somebody starts at 18, they can legitimately retire at 45 if they wanted. Because there's no restrictions, no limits. Unlike an IRA where you only have $5,500 limit, or a 401k, $18,000, I think it's $18,500. You have those limits. And once it's in, it's trapped. 59.5, so there's no incentive for anybody to start younger. I'll just wait till I'm 50 because can't retire till later anyway. Not a good mindset, but you should always start no matter what. But inside a correctly designed, one of the keys to a good financial plan, no limits, no restrictions. If you're 35 years old and your car blows out and you have $20,000 in your retirement plan, it's accessible. Not saying that's the best idea to pull from it, but it is accessible. It gives you that security, that what if, that always that what if moment. So one more question right here.
Is there still use for a self-directed IRA?
No. Because it's still designed. The system itself was never designed correctly. The system's designed not to produce income. I'm not saying it's not a good investment platform. It is. Index funds are awesome. Mutual funds are awesome. Traditional stocks are awesome because they produce a lot of money. Even with all the risk, ups, downs, crazies, it produces you a lot of money. It will average 9% on your money, which is really, really good until you go to retire. Then you have to taper off because you can't accept the risk. Now you're only getting 3 to 4% interest on your money in your 60s, and it killed all your income potential. Nobody's ever focused on income. That's all I care about. How much income can we get? And the only way to get income is to make security your cornerstone, then go get the reward. Make sure you have that guaranteed where your money will never go below this, because then when you set up your system gaining you 8 to 10%, you never have to leave it. So instead of making a bunch of money in your stocks, then kind of go to bonds later on where you're getting less and less and less and less and less, how we cut our costs, 75%, and how we make the most amount of money and how we make the most amount of compound interest, all that stuff is because our system has no risk of principal value. And so once you set it up on day one, it maintains forever. You never switch it, you never check it, you never trade anything different. You're just getting slow and steady wins the race. 8 to 10% on your money. We don't need home runs. We don't want home runs. Warren Buffett never goes after home runs. He just wants 8 to 12%. That's what he's happy with. And by doing it that way, now your costs are 75%, and then when you go to retire, you're still making 8 to 10, or even more inside the leverage system, it's up 12 to 15, and it just maintains, and now you get lots of income. So people always ask me, well, what about, should I keep my 401k, should I keep my IRA? I go, they're good investment platforms, just like real estate is a good investment platform. It just doesn't produce income, or very little income. You could have lots of, I call it equity, equity in a home or equity in a 401k. You just can't spend any of it. Because if you spend it, it will run out really quickly and you lose all your money. So hopefully that answered your question. Well, I want to thank you guys so much. Oh, one more?
Who underwrites IUL?
What was that?
Who underwrites IUL?
My preferred right now is Mutual of Omaha. So Mutual of Omaha is actually my partner in the whole thing, going across the planet and telling people that, hey, you don't have to end up poor. Mutual of Omaha, 95 straight years of A+ rating and all the good stuff about it. So they're the ones who come through and underwrite the whole thing and manage the money. So most of them do. They have lots of features, lots of costs, lots of variables. So when I went to Mutual of Omaha, they are the down and dirty. They're like, we don't have any smoke and mirrors. We don't have bonuses, but then hide the cost on the backside. All the fun stuff that insurance companies like to do. Mutual of Omaha is the gold standard because they don't trick their clients. They're just, this is our product. Either take it or not. But this company gives us higher this and higher that and more rewards. And rewards just means they hit it somewhere else. We're all in the same market. We're all in the same system. So you can't manipulate how much interest you're going to get because that's not possible. If it does, then it starts getting to weird stuff, Bernie Madoff stuff, and we don't want none of that. So it's all about slow and steady wins the race, lowest cost possible, maximizing your return, and then it produces maximum income. You could have $1 million in a 401k, you will retire off $40,000 a year. You can have $1 million in a system like MPI, and your income will be $150,000 a year. 4 times more income off the exact same dollar because we understood the rules of the game. So I want to thank you guys so much for your time. I know it wasn't easy coming at night. And I do have a bunch of books back there. If anybody would like a book, they're $10. I think you guys maybe talked about that. I'm not really necessarily trying to sell you a book. Like I said, I make like $1.17 on them or something like that. But I believe the education inside this book will change your life forever. I legitimately believe that. And I'm willing to spend my whole life and every day and nights and evenings, and I go Facebook Live all the time, saying today is your day to understand how money works. And if you're scared or if you're like, oh, but I'm not good at math, it's not about that. It is slow and steady wins the race. Your only job is to understand how to get in, set it up, security, compound interest, and it's on autopilot. It does everything for you. But you have to make the decision. Only you can make the decision. Today is your day to make that decision. Because if you say you'll make this decision tomorrow, it will never happen. I promise you that. 25 years from today, you'll look, man, dang it, I should have made that decision. But becoming an earner makes you happier, makes your life better, and makes finances you become the master of money, not the slave of money. Debt now becomes a business proposition. I make 8, I pay 5. Oh, it's not even debt anymore. It's an investment. It's a business. You're running your own business on how your money works for you. And that, like I said, that business, that money gets employees, and that money gets employees, and that money gets employees, and it becomes your actual business. Is how you put as much money into compound interest as possible. So thank you guys so much. Feel free to reach out to me. You can talk to me after this. And once again, thank you guys for your time.
All right. Curtis, thank you so much. Did an absolutely phenomenal job, and there's so many good things I can say about it. I'm not going to bore you guys with that, but I really appreciate your time and the passion that he brought to this. And it's a topic that can be so confusing and dry, but so much passion. So everyone, one more round of applause for Curtis. Thank you so much.
Hi, we hope you enjoyed that. That's one of our speakers. We do this every Thursday night, free, on campus at our offices or live here on YouTube. We hope you enjoyed it. We really love bringing you speakers with a passion about a diverse topic. That's what we're all about at Listen University, is helping you in personal development and education in ways that you didn't expect to, and on topics you would never have thought you could have an interest in. Join us here at Listen University. Find out a little bit more about us. There's actually an income opportunity with us as well. Glad to have you here. Thank you. Hi, my name's Kevin Allen, and I'm happy to introduce you to a brand new network marketing opportunity. The name of the company is Listen University, and we bring you personal development and education in a different way than anybody has ever done before. Our target is diverse education. You know, there's a lot of things you can get online free today. There's a lot of TED Talks, there's a lot of trainings, there's a lot of recordings that have been stolen from speakers, frankly, as they spoke to groups that have been downloaded and put up on the internet. There's all kinds of great training out there. but there's some diverse education that you won't get anywhere but here at Listen University. This came into my mind as I recently went back and got my master's degree from Thunderbird School of Global Management, and it changed my life. This is an education that I wasn't expecting. When I went in, I looked for the elective classes. That's what I was looking for, and of course I would have chosen guitar and music classes, some Spanish classes, because these are things I already do. That's what we choose, isn't it, when we go for an education? The things we are interested in and the things we already do. Well, I got to tell you, I'm not sure we learn very much when we take those classes. Classes I would have never signed up for in my master's program are the classes that changed my life the most. And that gave me this idea for diverse education that we take to the world, education pieces that you will never hear anywhere else. My first thought was, imagine if every month you received 10 hours of education and training. Imagine if that first volume that came to you, by the way, our products look like an encyclopedia. You open them up and there's a thumb drive in there with 10 hours of education on it. We also give you a digital download. But imagine if that first lesson was 10 hours of world history for the beginner or the novice or the stay-at-home dad or mom. And imagine if that first lesson was, what's up with Jerusalem and Israel and the Gaza Strip? What's this 200-year war I've heard about? Who knows about that? Who could carry on a conversation about that topic? And who would choose to learn about it? Another interesting question. I would never have enrolled for that class. But now imagine 55 minutes of education taught to you by a real credentialed individual, someone with a couple of doctorate degrees, maybe from Harvard and Yale. Of course, they'd have the last name Patel, probably, because those are brilliant people coming from India today. And imagine for the next 55 minutes, you learn about Israel, Jerusalem, the Gaza Strip. What's up in that part of the country? I promise you, your life would change forever. Just to understand something that other people don't understand. The way you watch the news at night, the way you listen to the news on the radio, the way you talk to friends. It's all going to change. That type of diverse education is what we've targeted in Listen University. Imagine learning something you didn't expect to learn, and imagine how that would change your life. Now, my wife Robin and I have been in network marketing for a long, long time, 35 years. We've been in corporate leadership in most of those companies, and they're mostly all successful still today, and they remain very successful in leading people to that additional income that network marketing is all about, really, and has allowed a lot of people to change their lives. When we started this company, our last company, I just broke into my 60s. I don't want to do this again. So this is our legacy opportunity. When we thought about products, we have access to every product in the world. We know the manufacturers. We could have any product out there, including a bunch of products we hear about as network marketing professionals, corporate people. We hear about products that, in theory, could change your life. And we could pick any of those. But the problem with that is, imagine that you found the great, perfect antioxidant drink and you got on it and you felt better than ever before. Or the perfect skin product and you used it and your skin was better and younger and fresher than ever before. Or imagine you found the perfect product that would give you the vitamins and nutrition and really gave you comfort to know you were going to live a longer and healthier life. Imagine those things. The problem is if you stop taking that juice or you stop using that cream, within 2 or 3 weeks, you're back to who you were before you took it. These are just symptoms that products treat, and they can enhance your life, no doubt about it. The difference with education is you can't unlearn something that you learned. You can't forget about it because our brain is a computer. Now you've expanded who you are, and that will never change. You can say I'm pretty passionate about this because in this company, Listen University, I believe we will change lives, and I believe they will stay changed. Many people will make a lot of money with us because we're a network marketing company with a great compensation structure that will allow you, by sharing education and personal development, a super product. And by sharing that, you can make a lot of money. Whether you need a few extra $100 to change your life, or you want several thousand extra dollars a month to change your life and leave the life you're living now, Listen University can offer that to you. Plus, it's brand new. I'm recording this on November 2nd, 2018. So take that date, add to it whatever days you're watching this, and just know that our company is in a soft launch situation. We'll open our website for the first time this coming Monday. Are you early? You're way before early. Join us, get involved with us. If you ever thought about being involved in a young company where there's additional trials, no doubt about it, but come and build something with us, with a product that changes lives, with a product that everybody will enjoy as their lives change. Imagine our get-togethers. Imagine when we get together and listen to great speakers and really have that influence and culture that people want to belong to. I know you're going to love Listen University. Take a look at it, listenuniversity.com, and come and join us. I look forward to having you as part of this great company that's going to become one of the companies to watch in the years to come in network marketing. Thanks for joining me.